What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my tiny garage. My name is Jared, and on today's video I have a little bit of different kind of content here for you. Usually on this channel we focus on fixing things. We usually focus on small engine repair and fixing those things that are broken, those machines that are broken, and getting them back and running again. Just as much as a lot of you, I'm sure, I like to use machinery just as much as I like to repair it. Obviously, we repair it so we can use it, right? So in this video, I wanted to share a little bit of a different type of content, something that I use machinery for that I thought that you might be interested in seeing. So back a few years ago when prices of things were going up significantly because of some things going on in the world, one of those things was lumber, and I had a lot of building projects that I wanted to get done, just as much as a lot of you probably did, and lumber became very unreachable in price. It went up significantly, and of course I had no way of affording that at the time, but I had a lot of free time to build things, and I wanted to do that. So one of the ways that I found to use some of the equipment that I had is I got into chainsaw milling. So what does that mean? Well, that's the process of taking logs from my property and cutting them down into boards. And that has become and kind of grown not only for now for my own use, but I also do that for customers now as well. So I use my own chainsaws and machinery to cut some boards and different projects for customers, and then I sell them, sell the lumber, you know, off of that. So I wanted to share this project here today. Hopefully you find it interesting. I know it's a little bit off topic from what we normally do. I wanted to share it either way, and I don't know, some of you might find it interesting. So on today's project, I don't really have a very big order. So I have some blocks that a customer is requesting. So we're going to kind of start at the beginning and bring a raw log over, and I'll kind of walk you through the process of how I do it. And ultimately, at the end of the video, we'll be turning a log into some little blocks for the customer. So with that being said, let's jump on in. I will go over to my log pile, choose a log, pull a log off of there, and we'll kind of get started and roll from there. Once we have our log over here and picked out, I'm going to go through here and get all the old bark and dirt scraped off of here as best we can. So I'll just go through basically a floor scraper. All this old bark off of here. While the chainsaw will of course go through it, we don't need to be sharpening our chain any more times than we absolutely have to. So bulky wood, dirt, of course, dulls the chain pretty quickly. So I want to make sure that we're getting as much off of here as we can. Once we have all that old dirt and bark scraped off of this log, we can now start looking at how we want to cut our log. So now we can kind of see what we have to work with. And there's always a small and a large end to the log. So you want to start on the small end of the log, of course, because that's the minimum amount of material, or I should say the maximum, I guess, amount of material that you have to work with. So once we're down here looking at this end of the log, we need to determine how we're going to cut it. Now, the way I'm going to do it in this video is I'm going to start with a freehand cut. So I'm going to freehand cut one side to be straight, and then we can use the Alaskan mill to cut the other side from there. So what I'm going to show is I'm going to show a very simple way to get started if all you have is a chainsaw, and then we'll move to more of an intermediate type level to where we will use the Alaskan mill from there. So being that I'm going to freehand cut it, I'm going to be standing vertically. So instead of cutting horizontal, I'm going to be cutting it vertical. So what I want to do here first is take a level, and I want to find the absolute minimum that I can for this log, which I am going to say is probably somewhere right in around that area. And then from there, I'm just simply going to draw a line. So you have a little bit of what they call sapwood here on the edge, and that could come in a varying of different lengths into that wood. But what that is the original bark of the sapwood. That's not really the heart or the hardwood of the wood. So we don't really want that as best as we can. We want to cut that off as best we can. So we can see right here, if I trace it, that's the sapwood. So everything over here is kind of junk. So we want to avoid that area. And at the same time, we also want to sight down the log. And as the log has imperfections, we want to try to cut those out as best as we can. So it's kind of a little bit of a game as far as how much do you want to cut off versus getting the maximum amount of your log, of course. So I'm just going to kind of pick a spot where I think we would be pretty safe. And I would say right about there. So I'm just going to draw a line using my level. So right in about there. So basically everything from here we're going to cut off. And what does that kind of leave us going this direction? So that leaves us somewhere right in about that area. Somewhere right about there. So we can probably get about all but 5 inches of final on this direction. Now going this way, I think we might be able to get close to 6. So what we're looking for board-wise here is we're looking for 2 by 4 by 6. That's what the customer requests. So we're going to try to get as close to that 2 by 4 by 6 as we can. It doesn't need to be exact. We're just rough cutting. If it's a little bit under 6, it's not going to be a problem. Even if it's a little bit over 6, it's not going to be a problem. They just want a rough idea to be a 2 by 4 by 6. So we're going to do our very best to get close to that. So once we have our line drawn here, now we can go to the other end of the log, the bigger end of the log, and see what we have going on there. Okay, down at the bigger end of the log, you can see things look much different. And that's the reason why we start at the small end, because we have a lot more surface area here to work on. If we just start up here, of course, you know, we won't be having a good perception of what this log can give us. So I'm going to say we're going to start somewhere in at about this area. And we're just going to put a little mark here to kind of start, which will give us just a starting place. We will make adjustments from here. But now we know, looking at the small end, what we kind of have to work with. So now that's done, let's move on to the next step and get this figured out. I made these stakes out of rebar, just simply taking a piece of rebar and then welded a flat flag onto it with a hole. And what that will allow us to do is drive some stakes into the ground and then screw these into the log, which will help keep this log from moving back and forth. That's going to be very helpful in maintaining that straight cut that we want. So I'm going to go ahead and get these into the ground, and then we can start with our string. think in this instance we'll be okay with just 2. That's pretty solid. Then from here, down here at this end of the log, we want to put a screw in, roughly straight up and down from that line that we made. Take our string line and string it up here along the side of the log. So if we go to the reference mark that we made, that will put us cutting somewhere in that direction, about like that. Now I think we can get just a little bit more out of it, so I'm actually going to go to right about there. So we're going to put our screw right about there. So back before I was able to pull the trigger and get an Alaskan sawmill, which is, I'll show you that here later in the video, but it's just a sawmill jig, for lack of a better word, that clamps onto the bar and gives you a nice straight cut. Before I was able to get one of those, I had to make do with what I had, and what I had was a chainsaw and string. I had string and a chainsaw. So as you can kind of see what we've laid off here, I've had to manipulate the log a little bit more. I ended up flipping it over and trying it from a different direction. I think I'm going to get more wood out of it this way. So we have our string up here, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the chainsaw and freehand cut this side off to make this side straight. Now, ideally what you would use is a ladder, which I have sitting over here, but I wanted to kind of showcase 2 different methods of doing it, and they both work just as well. Is the one more precise than the other? Absolutely. But for someone just kind of starting out and not able to afford a lot, this does work, and it does offer a solution perhaps for you. So I'm going to show that method first, and all you do is you just stretch a string on here, and then we're going to take the chainsaw, and I've taken a level bubble, which I don't know if you can really see there, it's on top of the air box. And I put my chainsaw on a table that I knew was level, and I put a level bubble on the back of the filter cover and then glued it into place. So what we're going, how this all works together, our string is a straight line. We know that as long as the chainsaw is straight and level, our cut will be straight and level. Are we going to be perfect? We're absolutely not going to be. But in this case, it's going to be okay. All we're going to do is take our chain and very lightly take the tip of this bar and run it along the string. And we're just going to make a line down the side of this log with our chain. Then we can take the string away. But we want to start with a scoring mark. And as we're going down through it, we're going to be going down like this. And I can watch this level bubble and tilt the saw as I need to, and I want to do my best to keep this chainsaw as straight up and down as I possibly can. And I'm very lightly going to let the chainsaw do all the work. I don't want to push hard. I want to go slow and steady. And we're just going to keep working our way down through this side of the log until we get our slab off. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how that's done here now. So we're going to go ahead and get the chainsaw started and cut along our string to start a straight line, take our string off, and then we can go to town from there. Once our string is traced, a straight line, we can then take our string down and we can take our screws out. That way we don't risk hitting them. We're not going very deep here. We're just looking for a little bit of a score mark. So you'll notice that I wasn't even paying attention to the level mark on the chainsaw, because right now we're not worried about a straight cut. We're just worried about scoring the line so that we have something to follow. So let's get these screws out of here, and then we'll actually start cutting, which is where I'll pay attention, of course, to that level line. Go, just like that, we have a slab off of our side. How cool is that, guys? Every time I do this, it never gets old. That smell of the fresh cut lumber and that straight side, it just doesn't get a whole lot better than that some days, you know? We have our saw now in the Alaskan mill, so you can kind of see what I mean by a jig that holds the saw straight. That's basically what it is. We have 6 inches set between our cutter bars and the top of our bar. If we went to underneath, of course, it would be 3/8 too thin. So we have from the top of the bar to the bottom of our ride plate, we have this set at 6 inches. So what we should be able to do now is use the flat piece that we just cut to ride this mill on, and it will automatically just cut a 6-inch straight block out of what we have. So it's important to make sure the top is very clean. So I brought a broom down with me. I'm going to sweep this off real fast, and then we will be able to run this mill down through and get a square, or a half square, I guess, out of this log. What I've chosen to do is run an external or an extra oiler. This is a Echo CS 590. I have a 24-inch bar on it. I want to make sure that I'm not burning anything up, so I've chosen to put a external oiler on it, which will dribble onto the chain as we're cutting, thus keeping this blade about as cool. So let's get the camera situated around. I'll sweep the top of this off, and then we will proceed to cut down through here. there we have it. And there we have cut a perfectly, well, about as perfect as rough cut is going to get it, square beam. We are 6 inches on the thickness. So we need pieces that are 2 by 4 by 6. So that means we have 6 inches this way. So from there, we just simply have to cut out those 2 by 4 blocks. Since we have 6 inches the other way, we just got to cut those blocks out. So if I really wanted to from here, and this would be perhaps how you might do it at home, if you wanted to continue and get this down to a perfect square, you can of course do the exact same thing all over again, where you put a screw on one side, you cut off one side to be straight, and then you use the Alaskan mill to finish off the second side. Of course, you could also, you know, screw a ladder onto it and use the Alaskan mill for all of it. As you can see, using an Alaskan mill is of course faster, but the setup time could arguably be just a little bit more, as you have to make sure the ladder is straight and even the entire way. So then it gets into blocking with 2x4s, and then you got to make sure your screws don't get into the way of the bar. Long and short of it, both ways work. It's just a matter of what you want to do and how you want to do it. I choose to use both ways on this, and it gives me a good result. I found to be that kind of a middle ground for me. So I'm actually not going to use the chainsaw here anymore for any of this. I actually have a beam cutter chainsaw attachment for my circular saw, and we are going to use that to cut out the blocks of wood that we need from here. That'll be easier, less setup, and of course, since it just uses a flat plate cutting the opposite direction of a chainsaw, we don't have to go through and square anything else off. We got 2 flat surfaces to work on, so we can just simply start cutting out from there. So let me go get that set up, and then we'll pop down in here and finish off our project for today. Since we know we got a 6-inch depth going this way, that means if we make them 4 inches wide here and then do a 2-inch cut this way, we will get our 2 by 4 by 6 that we're looking for. So we're going to make 4-inch mark here. We'll come down here in the log a little bit, do the exact same thing. We can take a chalk line, start it right there, and make our mark. Looks like this is going to work out pretty good. This gives us a nice 4-inch wide beam then that we can chop down into 2-inch blocks. So I think we'll go ahead and measure out another run here and cut a little bit more, and then we'll take this section inside to my chop saw, and we will chop this down into the correct size pieces then for the customer's order. Okay, down in here in my secret lair, got our chop saw all ready to go. So I'm going to make this a little bit easier. We got a little bit of a boo-boo right there, so we're going to just cut it in half, and that'll make it a little bit easier to manage. And then we'll start chopping everything up to get the correct sizes then from there. there we go. 22 blocks, 4 by 6 by 2. 22 of them from a log, just like that. Ready to go to the customer and use as they see fit. So let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you think of this video. Let me know if the a little bit of an off-topic type of video was nice and fun to watch, or if I should just stick to one main thing. I guess let you guys kind of let me know and let me know what you think. If I should maybe do some more of these every once in a while, of a little bit off topic. That's all I really got for you. Hopefully it was interesting to see the two different styles that I can do when it comes to cutting lumber. The ultimate thing would really be to have one of those portable bandsaw mills at some point down the road, but we're not there yet, and we all got to start somewhere. So for those of you that are just starting out, hopefully it was helpful. You could see how you can do it freehand and see how that can be perfectly workable. And if you want to go up to more of a medium level, the Alaskan mill, to see how that works. But either one works good, really, as long as you don't need to be too precise and on the dot. They work just fine. Hit that like button, it does help out the channel. And if you're not subscribed and would like to see more content perhaps like this, or if you're just after some of the more normal small engine repair and mechanical work, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of that. Got plenty more videos coming up in the future. Don't have any shortage of content and things to film for you guys, that's for sure. That's all I got for this video. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Always good to see you. And with that, I'm going to get all cleaned up and get a shower here pretty soon, because I'm pretty dusty and a little bit itchy. So I will see you guys in the next video.